I have a big surprise for you today. This is Penelope. Say hi. Wave to the people. Hi. Hi. And Penelope is, how old are you? How old? 3. 3 fingers, huh? And Penelope's my granddaughter. And what's my name?
Grandma.
I'm Grandma, yes. And Penelope knows how to make paper doilies into flowers, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And we take white ones, right, like these. But what color do you want?
Pink.
You want pink. Why do you want pink?
Because I'm pink.
Because you're pink. Because pink's your favorite, huh? And how do we make it pink?
Christy.
We ink it, don't we?
Okay.
Do you want to make the flower or do you want to ink it? Which one?
I like to eat this part.
You want to ink that one? How about another one? You want to ink that one?
Yeah.
This is the one where you put Scotch tape on it when we were at home. Okay, you want to color it?
Yeah.
How are you going to do it?
I can't.
It won't come off? Let me help you. Okay. So what are you going to do? You tap it. And what happens? What does it color? What does it do?
Pink.
It turns pink. You have to keep doing it a whole lot, huh? Can I get my finger in there? Okay, I'm going to hold it for you. Good. And we did that, and we made them pink, didn't we?
There.
There. Perfect. Okay. Should we put the lid back on? Is that okay? Okay. Now, do you want to show how to turn that into a flower?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do? What do you do? Let's show right there. There you go. So first, you're folding it in half, just like that. You see your hands? And then what? And then you bring it over and over again. More. And then you have a pink flower, just like that. Can I twist the bottom of it for you? Are you going to do it? Okay, so then I twist the bottom. You know what we can do with this flower? I made a card for you. There's a card. And see those pretty papers? You know what they're called?
What?
Penelope.
How?
Do you know why they're called Penelope?
Yeah.
Because I love you.
What is this so that cake comes out?
It can, but I glued it down. It's another of the doily. It's the big one. I glued it back there. And I was thinking that you might want to glue the flower down right there. I'll give you some glue. Do you want to do that? Do you want to put glue down and put it on the card? Would that be a good idea? Okay, so do it right there. Squish it around. Good. Okay, now lift it off and put your flower down. And then I made a bow for you. So you can put the bow right there. Excellent. And now you have a card. And who should we give the card to? What do you think?
Mom.
You think Mom? You think Mommy?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give it to Mommy. It'll be a really big surprise. Okay? Oh, there's another pink one. Remember, we made several. Okay? Will that be a good surprise for Mommy? Are we done?
Yeah.
We're all done?
Yeah.
Okay, so wave goodbye. Bye. See you again.
See you.
April Fool.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you guys.
See you again. Even if you're not a stamper, I think you're going to want to watch this webisode. There's some fun new things.
We have products from 3 companies, including a magic stamp and sticky embossing powder.
And we've got spoonfuls of pixie dust and confetti and gold dust. My goodness. Come play with us. Well, here is the collection of some fun things. Now, as we said, it's from 3 different companies, so
Right.
Lots of different stuff.
Right, from Colorbox we have the Magic Stamp, which is a moldable, reusable foam for stamping, and that's great fun. We'll show you how that works.
Right.
We also have from Stampendous, we have this great collection of micro glitter. I think that's the spring collection.
I don't know, I just
the
think
spring
it's
mix.
so pretty. Look at that.
It's just beautiful. We have sticky embossing powder.
Which is in interesting.
It is.
Then also from Stampendous, we have these spoonfuls of things. So
Spoonfuls of embossing powder and elements. Ooh.
right, they're all mixed together. And so confetti, rust, pixie dust, and gold dust. That just sounds delicious.
And yeah, right. So let's see what they're used
Let's see what
on.
we can do.
We're thinking the same way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to start with this to begin with. And this is starting with that sticky embossing powder. And so if it's sticky, then what do you do with it? Well, the answer is, how about some micro glitter?
Absolutely, and it's that spring mix of the micro glitter, and it's got lime, sunflower, purple, teal, and pink, all of those 5 colors in there. And some of them are combined just on this one card with that sticky embossing powder.
Get back in close, John, so we can see. So you can see all of that variety that's going on. Just beautiful. And this stamp, that's actually also by Stampendous, this has a lot of detail, as you can see. So this was stamped exactly as it is,
Right.
With the sticky embossing
Sticky
powder.
embossing powder. I'm going to show you how that was
Okay,
done.
let's
I
go.
didn't actually use that stamp. I used a different one. I don't know if you can see this, but it's from the our Unforgettable
okay.
stamp set. So it's got a butterfly on there, so kind of similar. And I've got that. I've got Versamark, and I've got the sticky embossing powder. Off to the side, I have the glitters all ready to go here. And maybe when it's time, you can help me open those up. But you're
Okay.
going to start by Versamarking your stamp.
Using that as a verb.
Right, Versamarking.
You're Versamarking.
Get that all over on your stamp, and you're going to go ahead and stamp it. And I've got some of the unforgettable papers here too. That's what was used on the card.
Okay.
Stamp that, make sure I'm stamping right in the center. And then just douse it with the embossing powder.
Sticky
The
embossing
sticky
powder,
embossing
right.
powder. Now the sticky part comes after you heat it. It stays sticky for a little bit of time, and that's when you can use that glitter on there.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure of the process, so I'm
Right.
glad you're explaining that.
So there it is. It's ready to heat. So I'm going to get my heat gun out. So you just set it the way you would any other embossing powder. And it's clear, pretty well clear. There's a little bit of opaqueness to it. There you go. You can see it. It goes right away. And I'm going to get it all over so it doesn't come in. It leaves it sticky while it's still a little bit warm. So when it's like this, you want to open up those glitters for me?
Okay.
I don't want to wait very long. I want to go ahead and sprinkle some glitter on there. I'm going to put something underneath there so we don't have to. And the way Susan did it, she just sort of did it in different areas. You've got a little bit of time, so just sort of sprinkle it around in some different areas.
Now, you could do it all in one color, of course.
Oh, sure.
But it is pretty having that collection
It
on
is.
it.
I like the different colors that we're using. You can be a little bit more exacting than I am. You've got a little time. You can sort of add it right where you want it. So once those are sprinkled on, I'm just going to sort of shake that, make sure it's all well covered.
Ooh, pretty.
And there you go. You don't have to heat set it again. It's on there.
Oh, okay.
It was sticky, and now that glitter is stuck on there, so it's sort of like putting it on a double-sided adhesive after. I mean, a little bit will come off if you shake it to get the excess
But
off.
it pretty much
that's
just
really-
attaches.
Right, it attaches on there.
Oh,
So.
very pretty.
Beautiful, and that's one of the uses for sticky embossing powder. It can be used for a lot of things. That's the only one that we're talking about at the moment.
Okay, going back to this card, as you said, that's the unforgettable papers. It's also using the design tool number 7. And so just so you can see that, you can see those large areas that were cut out.
Right, and that small tag too. That's a little ticket tag, which I think is really cute.
That's also part of the design tool, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
And happy
Just
birthday
beautiful.
was stamped. And we don't have an inside of this card, but there you go. So using the sticky embossing powder, we just thought that was a really fun, different thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows, I think that'd be something to really play with foils
Oh,
and
sure.
all sorts of other things. So-
With the metal flakes.
Right, or the
Right.
mega flakes.
The mega
yeah, that might be
flakes.
interesting.
Yeah.
So we leave you with the idea, And we're going to move on, and so we can see some other goodies going on.
Okay, wow.
This is, isn't this pretty? And this is why I really wanted, maybe if you're a non-stamper, to take a look, because these things, all of the things we're showing are really pretty at the edges of your projects.
Right. They're just great highlights. So you can highlight the edges, but you can also use them, as has been done on this dress, right on top of your already stamped on embossing powder. So the dress in this one, which
There's
is
the
a
dress.
Stampendous
Right.
stamp, the dress was stamped and embossed underneath this acetate layer in a silver fine, super fine embossing powder.
And here it is. This is with the wow
Right.
silver.
And then down at the bottom was so that was added in some places. Down at the bottom was added some of that Spoonful, and it is embossing powder and elements. So then it was reheated, and that sticks in place. So when you see these boxes, I just want to go into them just a little bit. Each one of them is a box. It's a container that's going to hold the embossing powder and elements after you've opened it. Inside, all you can see is this little plastic bag. You open it up, you spill the whole thing back into this container, and then you can use that container. And it combines mica flakes, some other kinds of little paint elements, little dried paint chips, and embossing powders. There's glitter in there. I'm going to open up a couple of them just so you can see what they look like. This one is the Spoonful of confetti. And there is a lot of clear embossing powder in there. So you can see clear embossing powder. You can see some glittery glitter stuff. And you can see these color fragments that are all over. And so the embossing powder is going to make it all stick together.
Right.
These don't melt. The large color fragments don't melt. They just get stuck to the embossing
I think confetti
powder.
is the perfect name for
Right,
that.
that is a really good one.
Gorgeous.
Another one is the Spoonful of rust, and it's really got kind of an autumn look to it. So the embossing powders are oranges and browns in there. There's no glitter in this one, but it's got all of these great other very earthy elements. So that's a really cool look.
Now, Stampendous first came out with these as individual containers.
Right.
So now they've mixed them all together, and that's really nice. And I believe that you don't have to use Versamark ink pad first.
You don't have to use a Versamark?
Because this has already got the
Well, it's got the embossing powder in it. If you want to just sprinkle it on
Right.
something, like on this one on the acetate, you can just sprinkle it on the edges. Just make sure that you heat it from underneath,
Right.
so that it doesn't blow away. The Versamark
Right.
is just there to make it stay in place.
So there you've got it on the edges, and this is the heat-resistant acetate, and that's why it works so well.
That's why it works. And this one that we're looking at is the silver, which we didn't really show in the package, but that's another one that's available, the Spoonful of silver.
And the silver is so true to silver that I think it's really fun to see. There's just a little bit of the Silver Sparkles holographic
Right.
paper.
It looks almost like the same thing.
It looks the same thing. It does. Very neat. And I love the fact, this is one of my favorite dazzles, is the Happy Thoughts dazzles. And let's see.
There are
let me
lots
show.
of options on that.
There-
There's
yeah.
pennants and borders and all kinds of
And I
wonderful
like that.
sayings.
Fabulous. I think
Yeah.
it's really smart to put it on the acetate with white behind just the words amazing and fabulous. Who doesn't like being called that? So just a beautiful, beautiful look.
Right.
Now, speaking of really neat things, here is a scrapbook page. Get the stuff off the table. And this has, we're using now our magic stamp,
Our
right?
magic stamp. So
Okay.
here's the magic stamp, but I want to show you where it was used, and then we'll go into it a little bit more.
Okay.
Where you're seeing it is in the background here. So this beautiful page on Emma's papers, there's die cuts, etc. But that background is just striking. It's really kind of a vintage look to it.
It is. Now, it looks three-dimensional, but when I'm
Right.
touching it, it's solid.
Okay.
It's one piece.
And one of the reasons I think that it does is because it was used with a stencil, so that it gives it this layered sort of look with the stencil. The stencil that was used was the all-over swirls.
Which is a new, this is a
Right.
6x6 stencil, and you use the magic stamp?
Right, you use the magic stamp. So here it is. It's a let's go ahead and show you how that
Okay.
works. A 3" by 4" foam block. It's reusable. It's really thick.
Yeah.
It's really squishy. It's kind of hard to squish it, but you can do so. Now, you see that there's no image on it. Right, right. It's really kind of heavy duty. There's no image on there, and this is heatable. So that's how we're going to get an image on it. And so I'm going to bring in this stencil here.
Now, I'm surprised that you could use something as thin as a stencil. I mean, I would think something thick, like maybe a key or seashell, something.
But I don't even think we understand yet how, I don't even think we've said why it works. So we're going to, right, it is pretty thin, but it's going to work, and I'll show you why. But that's true. You can use keys, you can use buttons or whatever, and I'm looking for, there it is. I'm looking for my heat gun. What happens is that you heat it. When you heat it, it gets kind of soft, then you can mold an image into it, and then it's ready to go. And then when it cools, it stays that way until you reheat it and make the image go away
so
again.
So it's heat activated.
Right.
Okay.
It's also washable. You need to use, if you're going to use inks, only water-based inks with this, or the ink won't come off of it.
Okay.
So I'm going to start by heating it. It takes about 30 seconds to heat it completely, and I'm going to keep moving. I'm not just going to sit in one spot, because it does say do not overheat. Well, it doesn't go into much more detail than that, but to me what that means is don't sit in one spot and because it could melt. So you keep it moving, and I'm not really very far away from it.
No, you're really only about an inch away from it.
And you know, I know that you probably can't see it, but as we're looking at it sort of sideways, it does make like tiny little color changes when it gets warm. You can see that. Okay, while it's still warm, I take it, I'm going to put that warm side down on the stencil, and what works for me is a nice big acrylic block or other hard surface to press on. And I'm going to press on this for about 10 seconds. Susan said when she did this, she hadn't thought of the acrylic block yet. She put it on the floor and just stood on it for about 20 seconds. So that will work too if you feel like you don't have enough pressure, you know, you can't apply enough pressure. Then when I turned it over, and I didn't press harder or didn't heat it up long enough so it didn't get the image all over. I'm going to do it again.
Are you? Okay.
Because also it shows you when you reheat it, the image goes away. So if you can see that.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, it already went.
Yeah.
It's already gone. I want to get it nice and warm.
Okay. So maybe a little more pressure.
Maybe a little more.
Okay. Or we could bring Susan in to stand on it if you like.
Well, I'm not. True. Where's Susan? Let's get Susan in here. Okay. So that should be, it doesn't take all that long to heat up. That shouldn't be the issue.
Take two.
Just do this. Okay, put it right on top of it, and I'm going to stand over.
Okay, put some pressure down.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
That's different.
But it's, you know, one of the reasons is because it is that thin stencil, but I just did this and it worked perfectly, so.
Okay.
And how many seconds has that been?
I think you're almost there.
Almost to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I know this is such exciting video too. So it's just super cool.
Are you waiting with bated breath?
Are you learning? Okay. Here we go. That's better.
Big difference.
So there's that image on there.
You know, the plastic also, the acrylic block gave a more even distribution, I think, than just when you did it first.
You know, that's really the main reason I do it, is because you're going to get it evenly like. So real quickly, I'd just like to show you once that's on there.
So a water-based, so not a stays-on, not a surfaces ink pad.
Right. You want to use something like fluid chalk ink. And
or
look at
the
that.
Memento.
Ta-da. Okay. So that is the image that you're going to get. Beautiful.
It's pretty as a stencil. It's pretty
And
there.
there's a stamp, and this is how it was done in the background for that page. Ta-da!
Very pretty.
So you can use a little bit of a less inky ink pad, and you can put them, I'm not re-inking it, but I believe for that background they were placed side by side, and you do it again, and you just continue the pattern around.
Right.
So
there it is in its finished form. And so this becomes kind of a universal make your own stamp sort of thing.
Right, and you can use it in lots of different ways, and I'll show you another one in a minute here. We'll wait and see. But.
Okay, so very pretty. So this was with a stencil.
Mm-hmm.
So really, anything. You could use anything around, anything that's got some,
Sure.
a little bit of dimension
Buttons,
to it.
your finger. I mean, you can make an impression of
Bubble
just,
wrap.
just anything. I want to show also that I'm currently cleaning this off with a wipe because that's what I have handy. I would run this under water, hot water, and soap, little soapy water. We'll take that off, and then I'm going to reheat it and get the image off.
Okay, so there is using our stencil.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to go to another card and we're going to start mixing these.
Right.
And this is where we're going to start that. And in this case, there is an embossing folder that's been used.
Correct.
So you can see there's the image there, and you can see it on the background of the card as well as right here. So that has been done with
So that's been
the
done
magic
with an
stamp?
embossing powder and the magic stamp. And I'm
Okay.
going to bring that in. So here's a different embossing folder. This is our
Okay.
new Wind and Waves embossing folder. You've got this magic stamp. And I'm going to heat it to, I didn't get all of the ink off yet because I really need to get under that soap and water and then it will mostly come off.
Do you want to turn it? Yeah,
Yep, I'm
would you?
going to use
Okay.
the other side, and I'm going to heat it up, and I have my embossing folder ready. While I'm heating that up, it depends on depending on how you want the stamped image to come out, you can use the right side or the left side of your embossing folder.
Okay.
So one side is going to give you the debossed design, and one side is going to give you the embossed design. And I think, let's see if I use this side. I'm going to try using this side. See how that works. So,
And that's the silk screen side.
okay, the silk screen side.
Okay.
Getting away from me. They're not
dances.
heavy at all, you know, they're really lightweight. Okay, so that's good and warm.
I like the fact you can turn it over and not clean it
I'm
off.
grabbing my, yeah, that too. Grabbing my acrylic block.
So this is not going to go through your die cutting machine.
No,
We say
don't
that
do
quickly, right? Okay.
Not at all.
Not
You're
at
just
all.
going to press on it, and then you're going to hold that in place.
Now this is a deeper impression, don't you think, on
It
the
should
embossing
be.
folder?
It should be,
than
yeah.
the stencil. You're going
Okay,
to start
I'm
looking
counting.
at everything in your stash
A
differently.
little differently, right. Just any little odds and ends that are lying around.
Ooh, pretty.
So that's the impression that you
Yeah.
get. And that's ready to go ahead and ink up and stamp with that. And then you just heat it again,
To make it disappear.
and it goes away. So reusable,
It sure is. Very clever.
very cool.
And here is the result. Now again, this was using the rose plaid embossing folder and just stamped on there just like you did.
Right.
And this has the, is this the pixie
The
dust?
pixie dust, yeah, that's the pixie dust. So within that pixie dust container, there is some clear embossing powder, some really pretty clear flakes in there, and a little bit of pink and glitter, so all mixed up.
So-
This is the look that it makes.
And something else was done here. This is used the On Butterfly Wings stamp set, so you can see the large butterfly here. But as we get in closer to see that, there are 2 layers of the butterfly.
Right, so the butterfly and what was around it was stamped on the background. Then it was stamped again twice on separate cardstock and colored in with fluid chalk. Oh, these were colored in with Spectrum Noir pens,
Mhm,
the
the pastel,
pastels,
right.
And then layered on top of there, and the little wings are brought up.
And here is the full image. So to
Right.
think of doing the butterfly with 2 layers, and I just haven't seen that done before.
So
So
just very pretty. I
it's
love
very
that the
nice.
background was done first, so you've got, you know right where you're going to place the butterfly.
Right.
After you've created it. And then just a little bit of adding the pixie dust on the right and left. Now you could use Versamark on some of these areas, or you can just sprinkle it on there and heat from beneath.
Right. And this is also using a design tool. This happens to be number 3 to create that beautiful label.
Lots of
right
great
there.
little shapes in that design
Yeah.
tool. It's one of my favorites.
So a gorgeous, gorgeous look.
Okay.
And lots of things going on. Now, we have a last card, And this is a combination of several things.
Well, we did use the magic stamp with this.
We did.
We also used some embossing folders.
In fact, this is a double embossing folder, so you can probably see pretty clearly that that background, that kind of lattice, was used with this side.
Right.
And then the flower was done with the center of that blossom
So,
there.
So starting with the background of your card, that paper that was in the back, and this is done on the darkroom papers, that piece was run through the embossing through the embossing folder, so that you've got that. Then you Versamark the top of that.
And did the Wow superfine copper embossing powder on top of
you
it.
You get that embossed on there. Before you do all of the rest of this, you sprinkle gold.
Spoonful of gold.
Spoonful of gold dust, embossing powder and elements. One of my favorites because it's got that beautiful gold mica in there.
Right.
And it's so rich. I mean, just a really heavy layer, just going around the edges of that piece of paper, sort of sealing that in. Heat from underneath for sure, because you don't want it blowing away. And then that's set. And then to do the center, that was a different process. You have the embossing folder.
You have it there.
And you use your magic stamp. You heat it, you get an impression of that flower, then you stamp it on paper with Versamark and use, let's go ahead and bring it in.
Okay.
You stamp it on the darkroom papers, and then you use Versamark and some more of that copper embossing powder to make the flowers individually, just by using this once. I mean, you can get one stamped image, and then you're able to stamp that with Versamark several times.
Repeatedly, right. And then cutting it out.
Cutting them out individually.
Right. So this has got a lot going on.
It does. That's what I like about the magic stamp. You've got that embossing folder, and you're thinking, well, how can I make these flowers separately? That's such a cute look. And well, you can make a stamp out of any embossing folder or stencil that you have.
Exactly. And then even some sprinkling of the spoonful of gold around on the blossom. So the gold and the copper together, just a really gorgeous look. You can see those mica flakes in there beautifully. So, like I said, we had all kinds of goodies, and for stampers and non-stampers alike.
Right. Have fun with that.